Hi, my name is Cameron. I go to North Atlanta. I'm a senior and I identify as gay.
Hi, I'm Ellie Hodgson.
And I'm Andrew Weeks.
I identify as female, I'm a cis girl, and I am bisexual, so I like both genders, basically.
I am a trans male, which means I was born a female, but then transitioned into being a male. And I am bisexual. I like boys and girls. And
I like boys.
Honestly, I just like all genders. Yeah.
I think I discovered my sexuality a little early. I know I was it had to have been in like fourth or fifth grade actually. I just kind of I think I felt a little bit estranged from like some of the other kids. I moved around a lot, so I never really had like a chance to like make like strong connections with people. And so once I like really settled down which was 9th grade, that was when I finally came out to my family, because I had like all these new friends and all these people that I kind of wanted to like make roots with. So I came out to my family in 9th grade, actually over the phone. I called each person individually. And I have a lot of siblings, so it was like 1, 2, 3. But everyone had pretty good responses to it, and everyone's still cool with it now.
Well, my realization came in like 7th grade. I realized I kind of liked girls in 6th grade, but then in 7th grade there was this one girl who I'm actually really close friends with now, and she had gorgeous red hair, and I fell in love with her, and I was like, yeah, I want to kiss your lips.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I realized I was trans before I realized I was bi, and before I was bi, I was a lesbian. So that's always interesting. Because like around like 5th grade, I was like, yeah, being a girl isn't the move. I really don't like it. I just didn't sit right with me. Every time like someone would address me by like my birth name or like you, she, her pronouns, I'd feel like icky. But if someone like, because I dressed very masculinely as a child, and I had very like gender neutral hair, so like people would like misgender me as a boy like for a very long time, and I'd be like ecstatic about it. I'd be like, haha, you thought I was a guy, psych, but like still. So around 5th grade is when I was like, I'm definitely a dude. And then I didn't do anything about it. Like I didn't transition or anything. And I kind of like went back into the closet. Like emotionally, I was like, I'm definitely a dude. But like I didn't tell anybody about it. And then 6th grade, I was like, all right, maybe I'm just a butch lesbian. And I came out as that. And then 7th grade, I was like, never mind. Definitely a dude, definitely like girls. And then I was like, wait, definitely a dude, definitely also like boys.
My name is Ava, I'm 17 years old and I'm bisexual. For me, it's just kind of like I don't really care what gender the person I'm attracted to is. I've never had like a seriously homophobic interaction with somebody, or like been called a slur or anything. So it's kind of just like normal, I guess. Like I've definitely had people that I don't know, especially like when I first came out in like 8th and 9th grade, this girl that I literally had never talked to before, she was like, you're bi, right? And I was like, yes. And who are you?
There's a weird stigma around liking or loving two genders. You'd think that if you liked multiple genders, it would just it'd be as easy as coming out as gay or coming out as a lesbian or something like that. But for some reason, it has its own challenges.
You know, I had a teacher say to me once, like it came up in conversation. I was like, oh yeah, I'm bi. And she was like, oh, you'll pick a side eventually. And I was like...
Hi, I'm Leah Overstreet. I guess I'm a senior at North Atlanta. So I'm the president of my school's Gay Straight Alliance. It's kind of recent, but here we are. So basically the Gay Straight Alliance is like a place for all the students who are either on the LGBT spectrum or they're allies or just like want to be like around, or their friends. You know, like it's just like a place to like talk and like kind of discuss LGBT issues. Most of the time we just like mess around and hang out, but we do like kind of like start the day, or I guess the afternoon, with a discussion about something pertaining to the community and why it's important that we discuss it, and we just sort of like share like life stuff that's going on, like with like a specific like emphasis on like gay stuff.
I think the nature of North Atlanta, like it being a super diverse school, and also I guess like just having a really strong arts program, which I know is like kind of a stereotype, but let's be real, like there are a lot of artsy gays, like kind of makes it so that it's really normal to be gay. But I don't think that we necessarily have like a huge gay population or a hugely out gay population.
I think it's really important that there's like a space where people can go, because even though most people at our school are pretty much out and like their parents don't care, or like no one at school is really like getting bullied for being LGBT, it's kind of like nice to have a space where the people who aren't out or don't feel comfortable talking about stuff with other people, like it's important that they have a place to go to where it's people who understand their struggle or empathize with it, and it's kind of like, it's just nice to have a community or like a family.
So the thing about GSA is that I know a lot of students don't pay attention to it. Like, it's something you hear about every day, and there are definitely people who really care about it and come, and they all have a great time and it's a safe space for them. But there's a lot of people who like put it in the back of their heads. It's like out of sight, out of mind. Like a lot of people wouldn't even know that there is a GSA.
I think the GSA is good.
The GSA is really good. They allow us to have a GSA. That's definitely a big step. I think we tried to have a GSA at our last school, and they were like, very funny.
Cute.
Go home.
Anyway.
We already gave you theater.
So I think it's good in terms of bringing people who would like to be a part of it into it, but for people who are homophobic or just don't want to associate themselves with what they perceive to be the gay image, will kind of just forget about it, if that makes sense.
So, to be honest, I went to one meeting my freshman year, like the first meeting or the second meeting or something, and I didn't go again until this year, just because my friend is leading Gay Straight Alliance, and she said like it's all freshmen and sophomores, can you please come to a meeting? And so I went.
Well, we do have some older members, but because they have other commitments, they sometimes can't come, so it is predominantly freshmen. So it's kind of weird because a lot of the times, like, we'll talk about relationships or like past experiences, and I'll realize halfway through that the past experience they're talking about happened in 7th grade. And it's just kind of weird because I'm at like that weird point where I'm in that weird part of Gen Z where it's like you grew up kind of knowing that being gay was kind of taboo like 5 seconds ago, but it's not really. And so seeing the kids like be so expressive and so open with their sexualities, like some of them have like come out like since they were 6. You know, it's just like an odd concept to think about how much has changed in just like 4 years, how old I feel compared to them, and how it's like, oh wow, like you guys are like really out and proud. Like when you were 7 coming out, like I was still learning what being gay was. So, yeah.
If you feel that that's a space that you really, really want to be in, and you have things to get off your chest, or you want to listen to certain things and talk about like general gay experiences a lot, I think it's definitely important. Like, I guess it's sort of like, if it's super present in your life, then 100% go to GSA meetings. And also, if you just like want to meet gay people, definitely go to meetings because, you know, it's pretty much all gay people. And also, if it's like, if you want to be the one who's helping younger gays or like mentoring them or anything, then that's nice too.
Since it is all new people, like it was like a whole lot of trying to put out posters and get the word out. And by the way, my posters got us in trouble because I was trying to be funny. So I did like a SpongeBob meme and like I said like, show up, it'd be gay not to, which is like a funny thing to say, like reclaiming the word, like we can say it, you know, we're the GSA. But the administration got concerned that it might be offensive, but like it was funny. I feel like it came from a place of really not wanting to be offensive, kind of like how on occasion white people will say African American, like trying to go the extra mile to make sure that they aren't like making anyone feel ostracized. So like props to the school. It was a bit annoying because it's like, but we are the gays, like we can say it, like this is our club, like we can like say what we want. But you know, it all comes up to like the school not wanting it to get misinterpreted, and that's like totally understandable.
Administration at North Atlanta has a difficult time distinguishing between what is like a fight or teasing between friends that goes a little too far versus like actual bullying.
I wouldn't say the administration is super active about certain, like they are very active about like targeting bullying and stuff like that. Like we have that I guess like that culture of everyone like wanting to make sure everyone's all right. But in terms of strictly like for gay or LGBT, there's not necessarily like a big focus or a big drive to like stop that. We do have GSA, but GSA is very, it's a student run like organization, so most of the like the efforts to like to make LGBT like bullying not a thing in North Atlanta is like very student driven and not necessarily administrative.
I've had I think one instance of just like blatant disrespect because I'm trans, and it was 9th grade finals week actually, and I was doing my Spanish final and I came in late, and so everyone else was finished and the class was like making like a huge ruckus, like they were being loud, talking, and Mr. Garcia was like, hey, could you guys quiet down? We saw the students testing. And then he had to call down like a different administrator to calm the class down. And she came in and was like, hey, guys, quiet down. People are still testing. The class was like, no one's testing. Who's testing? And she pointed to me and said, he's still testing. And they all looked at me and was like, you mean her? And like, I was like, no, it's he. I would know. And then like, they were just like, you're not a boy. And I was just like, yes, I am. And then they were like, are you sure? I was like, I would be the one to ask, you know? And they just kept on asking like really invasive, like in front of the entire class, and like these two authority figures, they were just asking really like invasive questions and like stuff about like my private parts and like things like that nature. And they were just like, then why do you paint your nails? I was like, I didn't know you were the gender police. Him or the other administrator really could have stopped them, but they didn't. And I just, in moments like that, I felt like truly like, wow, I'm like really sitting out here being the only trans kid at my school.
I feel like they put up a front of like absolutely not tolerating it, and there are a few teachers, especially we have a large community of LGBT teachers at the school, and obviously they are very intolerant to that. But I feel like when you get higher up at a certain point, when you get past those very few teachers, it's the help kind of ends there.
I don't believe that there is any bullying in like the 90s movie sense where you're like pushing them into a locker and being like, hey, queer, like you better get out of my school, or, you know, like I'll out you to your parents. Like it's not as like movie drama as that, but I feel like the homophobia that is there, much like racism these days, is kind of subtle. It's less of a blatant, I don't like gay people and I'm gonna beat you up, and more of a, you kind of notice they'll make comments or not be comfortable.
I'm being bullied because of how I am. They push it to the side and they're just like, well, blah, 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 or like, you can't expect everyone to understand it. You just have to believe in yourself and blah, 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 blah. Like, I've been to many a different schools, and it's happened at like almost every school. Like an instance where I felt like, sheesh, like the school really don't care about me. And for what?
So do you think if like, a student were to truly speak up about it, like they would receive help from the administration?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe so.
Do you think if the administration like firsthand witnessed an occurrence of this, that they would stop it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
There's an unspoken expectation that if you are being bullied because of how you identify, your sexuality, or your gender, most administrators will see that as something you should just take, something that you not deserve but should be expected, so they don't need to do anything about it.
I don't think bullying in general at North Atlanta, it's also not like that prolific of a problem as far as I'm concerned. Like I really don't see it happening or like hear about it happening all that often. But I definitely think at any school, like, there's more that can be done.
My one trans friend, he's a sophomore, and he told us that he'd been experiencing like something in his theater class. There were these two white boys he said that they were being like kind of racist and homophobic to him. And it was like really odd because like you don't really hear many stories about that. Like it's almost like you forget that that sort of thing happens and that exists. It's like, oh wait, what? Like that's not allowed. And so I had a little chat with one of the boys. And I basically threatened to get him expelled for hate speech. And I think that fixed him right up because he did apologize to my friend. I have a different friend who took a different approach that I will not disclose here. But I don't condone it.
It's hidden a lot of times, and a lot of people don't necessarily speak up about their instances, so it's hard for administration to do anything about it if they don't know.
I don't know if my friend actually ever reported them. I think it was kind of like they didn't want to make a big hoopla about it, but me and my friend, because we're like 2 years older than them, so like my friend, he's a sophomore, and me and my other friend were seniors, and so we kind of felt like a need, like, and at this time they were freshmen, and we were like, well, we need to like do something about this, because if the teacher's not going to do anything, if they don't want to report to administration, then we felt like a need to like kind of like step in and be like, hey, like this isn't cool.
I've gotten into a physical fight because someone called Andrew a tranny.
I was there.
They didn't get in trouble. It's okay. I'm not salty.
That was at Sutton, the feeder school. Don't stand Sutton.
6th and 7th grade was like one of those, it was middle school was hard for everyone, so I got bullied a little bit, and I don't know, I didn't have like as many friends, so I was kind of lonely in those years. I think it was definitely because of my image. Like I was, I'm still this way. Like I'm not as, I guess, manly as other guys, and I carry myself very like light or delicately. So that was one thing that people would always like bring attention to. But yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, we both went to the same feeder school. So like the homophobia, transphobia, it was a lot like broader there. And I feel like that's just because we're all like immature middle schoolers when we were in 8th grade. But I wouldn't say I feel the most safe at North Atlanta, because like truly I don't feel really safe anywhere because of the labels that I have that go along with me. But I do feel safer than in other places.
Well, I would definitely, if I lived like, in Macon or something, I probably wouldn't be as open about it.
And I went to stay with my sister in 7th grade, which was in Macon, Georgia. So that was fun. Loved that. Atlanta's very different from the rest of Georgia. Macon is very like, and I lived in like an upscale area of Macon, so it was all right there, but there's still a bit of a backwards mentality, and it can kind of show even in like younger kids. So
I feel like we're kind of like a little nugget in like hellfire. So if we go outside the perimeter, like if you go far enough outside the perimeter, you get in like Hodunk Town, like where all like the horror movies are about people getting shipped off to gay conversion therapy or being like, you know, like put through hell for expressing themselves. And so I didn't really realize how strong the contrast was, because I like to think, like when I think of like my little like area of living, Atlanta, I think, oh, I live in Georgia, you know? But I went to the summer program where it was like kids from all over Georgia. And they were like living on farms, they were living in really small towns. And I realized that a lot of my friends who happened to be like on the LGBT spectrum, that this was like kind of the first time that they really got to express themselves or feel safe.
In the world, there are certain places that are definitely going to be much more homophobic, biphobic, transphobic, just because that's how society is, unfortunately, in this day and age.
Like I went to Pride this year for the first time ever, which is kind of wild. And you know, it's pretty much everybody there is gay. And it was so nice to see, and it was also kind of really surprising because I was like, there's a lot of people here right now. And like, if I'm going with the fact that most of these people are gay, and definitely not all the gay people in Atlanta come to Pride, like that's a lot of gay people. Like a lot of gay people. But then like in the rest of Georgia, I know that it's not like that, which is horrible and sad. But also, like, I'm really lucky to have grown up somewhere where there is so many gay people.
I have this walk. And a lot of people talk about it and they're like, oh my god, like, I love the way you walk and stuff like that. But when I was a lot younger, like, I still walk the same as I do. And people would be like, oh my god, why are you walking like that? And so I think I remember like physically straining myself so that I would walk in like a more manly way, or like I would like walk more rigid on purpose so that people wouldn't talk about my walk. And when they did talk about my walk, then that like opened the door to the question like, huh, are you possibly gay? And I was like,
Being trans is almost like, even though like you see it on like TV occasionally, and like, oh, there's that one trans kid from like the Fosters, I don't know what that show is, but like, and like Caitlyn Jenner and stuff like that, like they know of it, but they don't understand it. So like the diversity of North Atlanta really has made it like bearable.
Because you are exposed to more people like that, there's no big shock. There's no, oh, Marty might be gay and we don't like it. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, Marty's gay, so's Stefan, so's Kevin, so's this person, so's that person. So it's less of an anomaly and it's not as much of a spectacle. Like, no one's having a big coming out. If anyone's coming out, it's to their parents or letting their friends know, hey, you guys were right.
Before I came out, I never saw a trans man. I only saw trans women, and I was just like, that's kind of crazy. And then I figured out that they were trans men, and I was like, that's even crazier. That's even crazier.
In Macon, I've been like name called and stuff like that. But in North Atlanta, no one has ever like blatantly name called me or anything like derogatory. But I have had situations where, I don't know, friends of mine, specifically guys, will not necessarily feel uncomfortable, but they'll kind of disassociate themselves from me if I get too friendly or like get too comfortable with them, if that makes sense, because I know they think I like them, but.
And so the instances in which it does happen are kind of rare or subtle, or it's more like, oh, that kid was just voicing their opinion, or you can't really, you know, like you can try to educate Timmy, but he might not get it, and that's like his right, and they're kind of, I feel like there isn't really any big issue at our school specifically like for that sort of thing. So I feel like if the school had like a rally like, we're gonna protect the gay kids at this school, all the gay kids would look at each other like, what happened?
I think kind of supporting that student voice that we have is a big positive thing, because I know they don't, it's not like they necessarily go out on a limb themselves, but if we speak up about something, they'll kind of back us up sometimes, which is cool. North Atlanta does a good job of like hiring a diverse staff. Like I have gay teachers, and I have teachers of almost every nationality that I can think of right now. Different religions, different family upbringings, different financial statuses. And I think they make it's just a lot easier to kind of interact with them, because you realize that they kind of represent this world that you are a part of, and you have differences just like they have differences.
Well, we have gay teachers, like a lot of gay teachers, and which I think is like kind of something that isn't like talked about enough. The fact that we have like several openly gay teachers at our school, I think it's just cool because you know, those teachers kind of flock to their gay students, and if I needed someone to talk to about some kind of a crisis that I was going through, and maybe I wanted to talk to somebody who could relate, then it's nice that I would have like someone that I could do that with.
But also it's like, I know there's been many times where like I've been not so much about me being bi, about me being trans. I feel like it's like the end of the world. I'm just like, I'm gonna like feel like this dysphoria, or like feel like no one's gonna like respect like my pronouns or anything like that for the rest of my life. And when I see like an adult who, at least to me, has their life put together and like they're alive, that like, it's like, if they could do it, I could.
If you don't have a safe place to talk about what you're going through or anything bad that's happening to you, that's specifically geared to the lens of the LGBT community, then a lot of your problems could go unheard, or potentially just not even understood as problems.
Personally, worst thing about being trans is the dysphoria and the depression that I get from being dysphoric. For those of you who don't understand what dysphoria is, it is feeling a discomfort with your body because of your gender identity. I get it fairly frequently, and it's probably like one of those things that like it never shuts off. Like it always is like coursing in the back of my mind, and some days I'm feeling really great and I'm just like, I'm looking super masculine, my voice sounds deep, like my jawline's like kind of high, I don't know. And then some days I'm just like I look in the mirror and like I can't help but to cry, because I'm just like, ew, this isn't the body that I want, this isn't the face that I want, this isn't the anything that I want, and I want it to all just like go away.
Like, I did an article interviewing like the teachers that identified as LGBT and the students, and the teachers had like, they commented that a lot of times like they didn't have anyone else in their school. Like there was like one other person and they weren't really friends, or you know, like they were kind of like, so it took them longer to figure it out or feel comfortable even considering that. Meanwhile, the students, all their friends are gay, so them being like, oh yeah, me too, like it's not that big of a thing.
My favorite part about being LGBT is I like guys. Guys are great, like guys. But just kidding. I think my favorite part about being LGBT is the overwhelming support that people give you for being yourself. And that makes me seem like a big like attention seeker, but I guess it's just like, it's good sometimes to, and not necessarily like, I don't think we need approval or validation to be who we are, but I think because we face so much like negative sometimes, the good part about being gay is that it's kind of a trend. So
my favorite thing about being bi is the choices. I mean, come on. Like, it genuinely confuses me how people can see like one gender and just be like, that's the one I want
that's
forever.
Enough.
Like, girls are very attractive, guys are very attractive. Like, oh, like, it's just like, why put yourself in a box and say, I only want one thing when you could have everything?
You know, in high schools, I think love is such an important thing that kind of just comes up so much in life, because even if you're not going through like a romantic situation that's going badly or going really well, it's still like people talk about like relationships a lot in high school.
Dating is hard because gay girls think you're straight and straight guys think you're gay. Yeah. Hair dye is so expensive. Just not being able to see yourself in media, and your first thought whenever you meet someone new is, but wait, are they homophobic?
I think it's kind of like, just because we are attracted to a wider range of people than the normal person doesn't mean that, you know, we're gonna cheat on a relationship or like be down to have a threesome or, you know, not want to be in a serious relationship at all. Because I think that it kind of like, I don't know, it's harmful to put down an entire section of the population and be like, well, you know, they're here for a good time, not a long time.
My favorite thing about being trans, as
N.A.
Can't answer. But favorite thing about being trans, well, like, everyone's trying to look up. I like confusing people. Like, because like I've yet to start hormones or anything like that. So like my friends would be like, oh my goodness, my period was so hard, and I'd be like, I know, right? Like I had such bad cramps, and they're just like, excuse me? And like it's just like so funny, like confusing people, or people who like misgender me and they think I'm a girl, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm a dude.
So when I was down with the boys last Saturday,
so I was hanging out with the boys on Saturday, like, and they're just like, whoa, like I just like seeing the confliction on people's face, but also to be more serious. One thing I like being a trans male of color is the fact that there's not many of them, and
the discounts.
The discounts. There's not many trans men of color, like especially like there's just not. That's just like, well, like you can find some like on like social media and stuff, but like I don't run into a daily trans man of color. Like I don't have one, and there's like never like not that much representation of trans men of color on like TV. And like it's almost like there's like more representation of trans female of color on TV, like Laverne Cox and stuff of that nature, but like there's not many of them. And I pride myself on, at some point of my life when I'm older, hopefully taller, I don't know, becoming that representation for other trans kids of color, because like I have big dreams for myself. I hope to be on Broadway. I hope to make music and be something. I'm not meant to be nothing at all. And I'm not gonna let the fact that I'm trans and of color like push me back. I'm gonna make sure that all trans kids of color, all kids of color understand that like you are meant to be something, whether that be a doctor, whether that be an actress, whether that be a dancer, a teacher. You're supposed to be in this world.